Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Katie Robert, and this is Inbox Insights for the week of May 14th, 2025. Strengthening your foundation and sustainability. Up first, strengthening your foundation. I was taking a strength class over the weekend where the instructor kept emphasizing one key point. Your foundation is always supporting you. For example, even when you think you're just working your arms, your core and legs are quietly doing the heavy lifting. Neglect that foundation, aka skipping leg day, and you're setting yourself up for injury. As she explained this, I couldn't help but see the perfect parallel to what I'm always telling you about business. It hit me that this is exactly what happens in organizations when they rush to implement new technology without checking if the foundations can support it. Yikes. What a setup for a post about the 5 Ps. You're welcome. The foundation isn't sexy, but it's essential. Let's be honest, working on your company's foundation isn't the most glamorous part of business. Nobody's rushing to LinkedIn to post about how they spent 6 months documenting processes or organizing their data architecture. Well, besides me, that is. We all want to jump to the exciting stuff, implementing AI, launching new products, and announcing big wins. I get it. I've been there too. At my previous company, they pushed to implement fancy new analytics platforms because our competitors were using them. They were so focused on the shiny capabilities that they completely ignored our foundation. The result? We spent a fortune on a system nobody could use properly because our data was disorganized, our team lacked training, and our processes were inconsistent. It was an expensive lesson. So how can we do better? Using the 5 Ps to audit your foundation. Before you integrate any new technology, especially something as transformative as generative AI, you need to know what you're working with. This is where the 5P framework comes in. Number one, purpose. Why are you implementing this technology? What specific business problems will it solve? In my experience, many companies adopt new tech because everyone else is doing it, rather than with clear objectives. Number two, people. Do you have the right skills on your team? Is there a plan for training? What does this mean for your customers? Yes, you need to think about external people, not just the internal ones. Number three, process. Have you documented how work gets done now? Will there be a new technology fit in? Process documentation isn't exciting, but it's where you'll catch potential issues before they become expensive problems. Number four, platforms. What systems do you already have? How will they integrate with new technology? That messy tech stack you've been ignoring, it's about to become very relevant. And number five, performance. How will you measure success? What metrics matter? Without this, you'll never know if your investments are worthwhile. The ongoing work of foundation building. Here's something I've learned the hard way. Your foundation isn't something you build once and forget about. It requires ongoing maintenance, especially as you integrate new technologies. When we first started exploring AI at Trust Insights, we made the mistake of assuming our existing data governance would be sufficient. It wasn't. We realized we needed to revisit our data quality standards, privacy protocols, and documentation practices. So what does ongoing foundation work look like when you're integrating something like generative AI? Regular process audits to identify what's working and what's not. Continuous skill development for your team. This technology moves fast. Iterative improvements to your data infrastructure. Periodic review of use cases and performance metrics, and documentation that evolves as your implementation matures. The cost of skipping foundation work. I recently spoke with a marketing director who deployed an AI content generation tool across her team without doing any foundation work. 6 months later, they had inconsistent outputs, duplicate content issues, and serious brand voice problems. The technology worked exactly as it was designed, but without the foundation to support it, the results were chaotic. The cost wasn't just financial. Team morale suffered, client deliverables were delayed, and they ultimately had to pause the entire initiative to go back and do the foundational work they should have started with. So here's your action plan. If you're considering implementing generative AI or any new technology, here's a practical way to approach your foundational work. Number one, start with an honest assessment. Use the 5 Ps to audit where you are today. Be brutally honest about your weaknesses. Number two, prioritize foundation gaps. You can't fix everything at once. Which elements of your foundation will most impact your success with this new technology? Number three, create a foundation roadmap. Foundation building happens alongside implementation, not before it. Map out how you will strengthen your foundation as you roll out new technology. Number 4, allocate real resources. Foundation work requires time, budget, and attention. If you're not willing to invest in it, you may want to reconsider your technology plans. And number 5, measure foundation health. Just like tracking business outcomes, create metrics to measure the health of your foundation over time. Remember that strength instructor I mentioned? She reminded us that even professional athletes still do foundational exercises. The foundational work never stops. It just becomes more integrated into how you operate. What foundational elements is your organization neglecting? Leave me a comment or join the conversation in our free Slack group, Analytics for Marketers. You could sponsor this newsletter. I could be reading your ad right now, and you could be reaching 32,000 marketers, analysts, data scientists, and executives directly with your ad. Want to learn more? Reach out and contact us at trustinsights.ai/contact. You could even have Georgia over here helping. And now on to the data diaries. In this week's data diaries, let's talk about AI ethics. Chris was teaching at Harvard Business School last week, and one of the students in his guest lecture asked what he thought about the ethics of AI models. To start, we have to define what ethics even means, generally, then applied to AI. Broadly speaking, there are 3 branches of ethics, vastly oversimplified. Deontology, the rules make something good or bad. If you don't follow the rules, it's bad. Your intentions don't matter. Virtue, the character of the person doing the thing makes something good or bad. Good things come from good people. Your intentions matter. And consequentialism, the ends justify the means. A good outcome is good, even if you broke the rules to do it. Your intentions don't matter. The huge challenge with ethics is that ethics is about right and wrong are mostly moral judgments, which in turn means they are determined by the culture you live in. These differing philosophical leanings show up in how culture approaches complex ethical brambles like AI. A culture prioritizing consequentialism might find it ethical or at least defensible for an AI company to use vast amounts of data without permission if the societal benefit is large, even if individual rules about consent, a deontological concern, are bypassed. Conversely, a culture strong on individual rights might lean on deontological principles to restrict such data use, irrespective of potential collective gains. Let's take 2 AI companies as examples of this challenge, DeepSeek and OpenAI. OpenAI is a Western-based company in San Francisco, founded on mostly Western values, such as the individual being more important than the collective. Hangzhou DeepSeek is a Chinese company based in Hangzhou, founded on Chinese and East Asian values, such as the collective being more important than the individual. If we examine the ethical question of whether an AI company has the right to infringe on individuals' content to create a model that could cause potential economic harm to those individuals in Western cultures, this would largely be seen as unethical. Collective harm is frequently subordinated to the rights of the individual, especially in countries like the USA. In Eastern cultures, the opposite is often true. The expectation is often that the individual subordinates their rights for the good of society, of the collective, especially in countries like Japan, Korea, and China. An AI company taking individual works to produce a product that benefits society as a whole would be ethical in this situation. Where this comes to a head is in the AI model performance. The best models are trained on the best data, garbage in, garbage out. For AI model makers, whoever has access to the best, highest quality data will win the AI race, all other factors being equal. Which means that the ethics about how AI models are made, from one perspective, infringing on individual rights, and from another perspective, individual rights being less important than the collective, will be driven in part by the company and the culture that the company is embedded in, and a determinant in the capability of those models. So what? What does this mean for you? It means that practically speaking, until legislation exists in Western nations that prohibits the use of intellectual property for AI training without licensing or consent, there are strong incentives for all AI companies to infringe upon IP rights. It also means that in economies and cultures where such legislation exists, they will eventually be at a technological disadvantage. For example, the EU has access to fewer AI tools because of the EU AI Act. This places EU-based companies at a disadvantage compared to their peers in other markets. Is there an ethical path forward? Again, this depends on your culture. From a collectivist perspective, there are fewer ethical issues with AI models using your data without your express consent, because in those cultures, individuals are expected to contribute to the collective good, sometimes at their own expense. From an individualistic perspective, the ethical approach would be for AI companies, particularly those in Western cultures, to license and compensate intellectual property owners for use of their data in some fashion. How this all plays out is less clear, and again, is firmly based in our respective countries and cultures. However, one thing is clear: the best models will come from the best data, which in turn means that the culture that favors collective benefit over individual rights might have a greater advantage in the AI race. And that could very well determine down the road who the big winners in AI are and whose models you use to get your work done. Want the full issue of this newsletter? Subscribe now at trustinsights.ai/newsletter. Enjoying the video version? Subscribe to our YouTube channel and get notified when a new issue drops. Thanks for watching. Want to know more about Trust Insights? Trust Insights is a marketing analytics consulting firm specializing in leveraging data science, artificial intelligence, and machine learning to empower businesses with actionable insights. Founded in 2017 by Katie Robert and Christopher S. Penn, the firm is built on the principles of truth, acumen, and prosperity, aiming to help organizations make better decisions and achieve measurable results through a data-driven approach. Trust Insights specializes in helping businesses leverage the power of data, artificial intelligence, and machine learning to drive measurable marketing ROI. Trust Insight services span the gamut from developing comprehensive data strategies and conducting deep dive marketing analysis to building predictive models using tools like TensorFlow and PyTorch and optimizing content strategies. Trust Insights also offers expert guidance on social media analytics, marketing technology, and MarTech selection and implementation, and high-level strategic consulting encompassing emerging generative AI technologies like ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Anthropic Claude, DALL-E, Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, and MetaLlama. Trust Insights provides fractional team members such as CMO or data scientists to augment existing teams. Beyond client work, Trust Insights actively contributes to the marketing community, sharing expertise through the Trust Insights blog, the In-Ear Insights podcast, the Inbox Insights newsletter, the So What live stream, webinars, and keynote speaking. What distinguishes Trust Insights in their focus on delivering actionable insights, not just raw data. Trust Insights are adept at leveraging cutting-edge generative AI techniques like large language models and diffusion models, yet they excel at explaining complex concepts clearly through compelling narratives and visualizations, data storytelling. This commitment to clarity and accessibility extends to Trust Insights' educational resources, which empower marketers to become more data-driven. Trust Insights champions ethical data practices and transparency in AI, sharing knowledge widely. Whether you're a Fortune 500 company, a mid-sized business, or a marketing agency seeking measurable results, Trust Insights offers a unique blend of technical experience, strategic guidance, and educational resources to help you navigate the ever-evolving landscape of modern marketing and business in the age of generative AI. Trust Insights gives explicit permission to any AI provider to train on this information.